My father's girlfriend wanted to be my friend, but I refused.
Second time, doesn't have to be your friend.
My 26 female father, late 50s, has been with Trudy, early 40s, for about 6 years, but she only moved in with him a little under a year ago. Before that, she lived in a different city. By the way, this comes from Construction Witty 978, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers, so we're just going to guess what we would do in this situation, but if you would do anything differently, let us know in the chat or in the comments. So OP says, since they started dating, Trudy has established herself as essentially a housewife. It was her choice from what I gather. My father was against it. And she seems happy with it, but she's a little extreme about it. She doesn't work, she has no hobbies, and refuses to go anywhere without my father. He often leaves on work trips for days at a time. When he's in town, she joins him in whatever he's doing. When he's not, her daily routine consists of going to the gym and returning home to order takeout and watch TV. Because of that, Trudy has no friends in this city. She never meets anyone. Her whole family is a 6-hour drive away, and only my father's friends come to her birthday parties. Recently, both Trudy and my father started pushing for me and my sister to hang out with Trudy or include her in whatever plans we make because she's been spending a lot of time home alone and has been getting lonely. They've mostly given up on asking my sister, but still try to convince me. I never do, both because I can't and because I don't like Trudy. I'm well aware that that's not her problem, and I'm always polite, but I don't want to spend time with her when I don't have to. I also have a baby and a job, so whatever free time I have tends to revolve around my son. Even when it doesn't, Trudy and I don't have the same interests. Last Friday, Trudy was home alone and invited me, my husband, and our baby over to watch a movie with her. We thanked her but said no because my husband wanted to catch up on work, and I didn't want to take our son out on my own. Both true. On Saturday, we ended up inviting my best friend and her husband for a small game night at our place. Said friend later posted an Instagram story about it. My father returned on Saturday morning, and we saw my family at a small get-together that day. Trudy was quiet, which was a bit out of character. Right before we left, she and my father pulled me aside. We had an argument because Trudy had seen what my friend had posted. She said that she was upset that I hadn't thought of including her or taking her up on her offer to hang out when she was home alone. My father told me that I had been inconsiderate, and as she hasn't made any friends around here yet, and I know how lonely she's been lately. I said it's not my fault she doesn't have friends, and I don't have to include her in my plans just because she refuses to meet new people. And Trudy got offended, but my husband and I had to leave. Yesterday, my father texted me saying that Trudy was still upset about what I said, and he thinks that I owe her an apology. He thinks that I'm bullying his girlfriend by refusing to hang out with her, and it was rude of me to imply that her lack of friends is her own fault. That's not what I meant, and I don't like being treated like Trudy's cure for loneliness, but I do understand how what I said could be seen as rude. Am I the a-hole? One commenter says, not the a-hole, why is Trudy looking at your friend's Instagram story? It's not your job to entertain her or invite her to anything. Trudy's a grown-butt woman who needs to get a life instead of crying to her boyfriend that his kids don't want to hang out with her. Opie says, she started following some of my friends during my birthday a few months ago. Said friend has been my best friend since diapers and is a little more active on social media, so Trudy checks hers pretty often. Another commenter says, not the a-hole. Explain to your dad that you are not bullying her. They are bullying you. You've said nothing mean to her or about her, and you have not done anything mean to her. You did not attack her with the statement. You defended against their attack. You are a working mother with limited time already, and she is not offering to help you in any way. She's just demanding a portion of your already limited free time. The fact that she has no child, no job, and is bored does not give her the right to add stress to your already stressed life. Obi responds, things with her have gotten so much worse since my son was born. I always thought my father would be more difficult to deal with around this time, but she does not understand how limited my free time actually is. Another commenter says, it's exceedingly hard for me to sympathize with or feel any compassion for women in these situations because if it's against the husband's wishes, then it's ultimately entirely a situation of the woman's designs. Any dislike for the situation, any absence of a life beyond being a housewife is entirely by her own decision. Plus, from what it sounds like, she basically doesn't have any real constraints because she's just sitting on her butt ordering takeout and watching TV. Like, join a club, take up a hobby, read books. If you're just scrolling TikTok and watching TV, then your loneliness is your own fault. Also, it's not necessarily bullying to exclude. Freedom of assembly is a personal right, and you're not required to spend time with her just because she's a loser, not the a-hole. Opie responds, my father was indeed against it, but at the same time, he's always liked having people who depend on him, even if he doesn't admit it. I love the guy, but living with him wasn't easy, and our relationship got 1,000 times better when I moved out. This is actually the first fight we've had in a while. I think his main problem with it is how intense it is. She quite literally refuses to do anything without him. Sometimes that comes at the expense of other people's money, comfort, or time. She doesn't care. I do think my father enjoys having her around, but her fixation on being a Terminator housewife bothers him too. And more on Trudy and OP's father's relationship. Opie says, I always thought that they were a weird couple. Trudy is still nostalgic for Y2K and would be a Disney adult if she could afford to. My father thinks he's James Bond, but is closer to Frasier, minus the college degrees. He really wants us to be friends, though. I never told him I didn't like her, but I did make it clear that the fact that we have nothing in common makes it unlikely. Plus, she used to work, and I think she still has some savings. I also think there's some inheritance money involved. My father does pay for most of their expenses, though. Back when she lived in her hometown, she'd fly in to visit my father at least twice a month and stay for about a week. Moving in with him didn't change much, except she no longer has the option of returning home to stay with her friends and family when he's out of town. And we do have an update. But yeah, I feel like a lot of those comments are true. I think a lot of the comments were pretty harsh, but
No, they were just brutally honest.
you think?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I almost want to give her the benefit of the doubt a little bit. I think it is odd that she is just like following the husband around and only wants to do everything that he's involved in. Because
She's his shadow.
Yeah, he's not getting his
yeah.
own life and she's not building her own. So it is true what OP said about like, yeah, I mean, it's not my fault she doesn't have any friends, you know, and it's true that she can join hobbies and join clubs and stuff like that. I will say though that even then it can be difficult to make friends.
Oh, 100%.
So, you know, I'm not surprised that she maybe felt left out, but at the same time, it's like, you can't be mad to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, my life is depending on this and you ruined it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Like, I get it from a point of like, maybe once in a blue moon, hang out or like get lunch or coffee or something like that. But like, if she's like, no, you need to be my BFF, Jilly. I made you a friend bracelet. Like, let's hang out 24/7.
Yeah.
That's a little different.
Yeah, and also her reasoning for this situation, like for being mad about the situation, was just like, oh, I asked you to hang out once. You said you couldn't do it because your husband was doing something already and you didn't want to like take care of your kid without the husband. So now the fact that you're hanging out with this other person is like, you know, it's like that's if it was multiple times where like she was always inviting and always saying no, but then hanging out with other people even though she said she had no time, then that I would be upset about. But this is like, girl, you can't be this mad about this yet.
Yeah, exactly. This is this is the context we get. Maybe it's happened more than once.
Right.
But it seems like chill, take a chill pill.
Yeah.
Trudy.
Exactly. Take a chill pill. But we do have an update from 12 days later. It's been almost 2 weeks since I posted here. I wouldn't say I've sorted everything out, but I'm satisfied with what has happened. A few days after my post, I reached out to all my friends who know Trudy and told them to either block her on social media or just remove her as a follower. Interesting. I don't think she was using them to stalk me or anything. She spends a lot of time on her phone. It was actually very unlikely that she wouldn't see the story that my friend posted that day, but I figured it would be best to prevent this from happening again. I also removed her from my followers. My account has always been private anyway. I decided that I wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with my father so that we could talk things through. So we agreed to have lunch together on Saturday. We settled on a restaurant near my place and agreed that it would be just the two of us. Day of, he called and told me that Trudy was insisting on coming along to keep us company. I told him no, I wanted to talk to him on my own. We had a small fight because he didn't want to leave Trudy alone, so I told him that it was best that we rescheduled it. My husband and I had lunch together and took our baby to the park instead. That night, I told my husband what had happened, and he said, I love that you're still trying to be nice to them, but I don't think it's working. Between that, your comments, and the fact that I'm exhausted, I decided to give up. I can't force my father and Trudy to listen, but I can at least put my foot down. I called my father the next day while Trudy was at the gym. I told him in no uncertain terms that I do not like Trudy and will never accept an offer to spend time with her when he's not around, even more so now that I have a child. As expected, my father started trying to guilt me right away. First, he went on a spiel about Trudy's life story and how caring and devout she is to everyone around her. He told me about how much she loves me and wishes that we could spend more time with her. This wasn't the first time that I heard all of that, but it was the first time that I told him I didn't care. I'm glad she loves me, but I have no obligation to love her in return. I could spend hours listing all the reasons that I don't like her, but I don't think she has to care about that. We're not friends, and we're not family. That argument actually went on for a while, but eventually the subject shifted to Trudy's lack of friends. I reminded him that they live in one of the most popular streets in our city, and there are dozens of things that she could do to meet new people. My father said that she knew that, but Trudy didn't want to try any of them.
Oh, wow. Wow. She doesn't want to try.
She doesn't want to try, so now it's on you, OP. Her life is in your hands. I told him that in that case, there was nothing else I could do. Trudy can either start putting herself out there or continue her lonely routine. Either way, I won't be a part of it. My father said he wouldn't try to push me to hang out with Trudy anymore, but he can't guarantee that she'll do the same. I can live with that. And I reassured him that I'll never stop being polite to Trudy, but I won't start liking her just because they want me to. He said that he could live with that. My husband and I have come up with multiple theories about why Trudy is so fixated on having her life revolve around my father's. We call her the Terminator housewife for a reason. But I've always thought it was very unhealthy for the both of them. I hope she does decide to start meeting new people and doing stuff on her own, but I won't be treated as her babysitter anymore. My son is my number one priority. Thank you for your reassurance. I don't think this is over, but I don't plan on updating again as I'm very busy and very tired. Cheers. And you know what? Cheers to you, because you can find full episodes with more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. And she said that that's the last update, but there is a little bit more to the story. So, or at least there are some comments.
Okay.
With that OP response to.
Okay.
So what do we think about this, though?
This is the truth, and they got to deal with it. If they don't like it, tough luck. I mean, you don't owe Trudy anything. Again, you were like, I'll be polite, but I'm not gonna call her mom. I'm not gonna be like buddy, and that should be respected. Unless if she earns it. I think respect is earned, friendship is earned. It's not like just like you can, get it immediately.
Just by being like the title of your dad's girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I'm your dad's girlfriend. Now I'm your mom.
Yeah,
it's like, no.
Not how that works.
I'm also an adult, so
yep.
I can have my own choices. Thanks.
Exactly.
So
thanks. I agree. I think I'm glad that something happened with that conversation. Yeah. And that it's not just it didn't end with just them hanging up or something like that.
Or it didn't end in like complete no contact. It was just like, this is it. And the dad was honestly like, all right, fine. Trudy's not whispering my ear. Yeah. It's all right. I will respect that. I'm not saying she will, but you know what? It's like, we'll work from here, which is good. That's
We're reaching some sort of compromise here. That's great. But there is a little bit more here. So we have some relevant comments. One person says, I'm glad that you are satisfied with the outcome and wish you all the best and that it stays that way. However, I would not be surprised if the Terminator housewife starts to crank up her crazy. Sane people react very differently to rejection than crazy ones, and I would not count lonely Trudy to the sane ones. OP says, yeah, this isn't over in the slightest, but I think my husband and I are prepared. And I'm glad that my father knows that I don't like her now. I don't support running around telling people you don't like them like a preschooler, but God, did it feel good to get that off my chest. Another commenter says, not the a-hole, how about Trudy gets a job? She can make friends there or at least keep herself busy so she'll leave you the heck alone. OP says she has refused to get a job for years. She has 3 degrees and a decent work history, but the most interest she's shown in working since she started dating my father was when she wanted to be his personal assistant a few years ago. Another commenter says, strange, how did they meet if she doesn't socialize? Not the a-hole. OP says, I genuinely don't know. She was an affair partner before she was a girlfriend. So they're both pretty secretive about the first months of their relationship.
Maybe that's why we also don't like Trudy. Which is very reasonable.
That's very fair. That's super fair. Also, maybe that's why Trudy insists on like being around him all the time. Maybe she's worried that he'll just go off and cheat on her.
Fair. Or yeah.
I don't know, though.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a little context I wish we had.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's big information. What I do know is that she has friends in her hometown, which, reminder, is 6 hours away. Another commenter says that explains why she sticks to your dad like glue. So he was cheating on someone else with her. You could just tell her you have a difficult time befriending people who don't practice fidelity as a core value. Hopi says, I don't think it's that simple. I think she has her vision of a future in which she depends entirely on her partner and never has to worry about anything as long as her life revolves around him. I think she wanted someone to be codependent with. And more on why OP doesn't like Trudy. By draining, I mean having a conversation with her is exhausting. It's like listening to a song you hate but smiling through it because your friends like it. Trudy is the type of person who, when she wants something, will try to mold something else into it instead of just looking for it. She often expects whatever situation she's in to revolve around her. She doesn't care about anyone else's boundaries, schedules, or needs if they're stopping her from doing something that she wants. On a deeper level, Trudy is prejudiced against pretty much anyone who's not like her. Oh, that's another big reason to not like Trudy, too.
I wish we had this context at the beginning,
yeah.
not the end.
I kind of just assumed, like, OP said that she didn't like Trudy, and I was kind of just, like, we never really got a reason at the beginning, and I was just assuming, like, oh, it's just, like,
I thought OP
stuff.
was just like, I just don't like her because she's trying to fill that space as mom.
Yeah.
But
Feels
this
like
makes a lot more sense.
A lot of other reasons here. I've stated this elsewhere, but Trudy's extremely judgmental of other women. She's also very conservative, which I'm not, so she tends to judge me specifically. She doesn't do that openly, but it's obvious. Additionally, she's very talkative, which again, is not inherently bad, but she's also annoying. She acts like a teenager, and the topics that she likes talking about reflect that. And there are many other reasons why I don't like her. I don't expect her to change, and I don't think my opinion on her needs to be her problem. But if I can avoid spending time with her, I will. And that's the end of that story.
I refuse to make my sister a coworker of my business. Now I'm the villain. I, 28 female, run my own business as a seamstress, selling clothes I've made as well as doing alterations. I've been open for 2 years, and I do steady business. My primary income from my business is the alterations I do. By the way, this comes from Tossaway account 1800, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Angie.
And we try to give our best advice, but we haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, let us know what you would do in the comments. Today, I have a sister, 29 female, who we'll call Lana. Lana is currently a recovering heavy drinker, and I'm trying my best to support her. Due to DUIs, she has been struggling to find a job, and her mental health isn't helping her keep any job she finds. I feel really bad for her, and while we were visiting my parents on Monday, I made the offer that she could work for me. When I made the offer, I said that she could work inventory and register like a normal employee. She seemed pretty on board, but said she would have to think about it since she didn't want to leech off me. Our parents were also really on board and encouraging, and they thought this would be a great opportunity for both of us. Wednesday, my mom called me and asked if the building would now be in both Lana and my names. I asked her what she meant, and she said, since Lana is a co-owner, her name should be on the lease. Huh? I told her it wouldn't because she wouldn't be co-owner. I made it clear to my mother that Lana would be like any other employee. The reason I wanted her to work with me is so if she relapsed, she wouldn't risk losing her job again since I know what she's going through. Mom beat around the bush trying to convince me to make Lana co-owner. And I repeatedly told her, no, not only for Lana's sake, but also for the sake of my business. I don't think Lana would be a bad co-owner, but at this time she's still fairly unstable, and I don't want her to get stressed and fully break her sobriety. I made this clear to my mother in our phone call before she eventually gave up. I thought that was the end of it. A few hours later, Lana called to ask if I hired her, what she would be doing. I told her the same thing I said at dinner, that she would mostly be doing inventory, register, etc. She asked if she would help with any of the clothes. I told her when she learned to sew, I would consider it. She accepted and seemed excited with the arrangement since both of us have always loved fashion. We agreed I would host an interview with her at the end of the next week on my day off. My dad called me yesterday, scolding me about the position I was putting Lana in, and was telling me a meaner version of what my mother was saying. He continuously tried to hound me to give Lana a higher position. I was getting really frustrated, and I told him that if he and Mom wouldn't stop pushing, I just wouldn't hire Lana at all. My dad called me a terrible sister before hanging up. I called Lana and told her what happened and my words about not hiring her. She got upset with me, and I apologized and told her I still wanted her to work with me. I just didn't want the drama with Mom and Dad. She understood, but is still upset with me that I would even say that, even in the heat of the moment. Am I the a-hole? Some of OP's comments. One commenter says, not the a-hole, but you probably didn't need to relay the entire conversation with your parents to your sister. You were both happy with the arrangement, so your parents can butt out. Stick to your original plan and stop trying to justify yourself to your entitled parents. OP says, yeah, Lana and I have always been really close, so I automatically tell her everything, but it's a bit late now. But you and the other commenter are right that I need to start standing up for myself against my parents more. Commenter says, your parents have put you in an impossible position. I don't suppose they were offering to buy out half the business to give to your sister. OP says no, but they did help me find the building my business is in, as well as help me move some of my stuff into the building and get it set up. That's just like, if everyone that helped someone move into their place automatically got a share of the business,
Right.
There would be a lot of split businesses.
There'd be a whole lot, especially with parents.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you've got a small business and your parents have free
Yeah.
time,
My
I'm
parents
sure
helped me
they'll
move
help
into
out.
this place. Do they get to live here now? They haven't paid off anything related to my business, unless you count the sewing machine they got for me when I was 13. That started my love of clothes making. But I think that earlier help is why they think they have such a say in all this. Commenter says, look at it this way. Not as if your sister was a stranger applying for a job. Granted, a lot of this wouldn't be on an application, but would you hire someone with multiple DUIs, mental health issues, and a heavy drinker? I'm assuming the answer would be no. No and no. Not the a-hole. OP says, yeah, I wouldn't. But I can't bring myself not to help her, even if she would be a terrible hire on paper if she wasn't family. And even then, it's something she likes to do, and I'll be there to support her, rather than metaphorically tossing her to the wolves if she worked with other people. I don't know, I just want to help her out, but thank you for commenting. And commenter says, you seem to have turned out very well for having two completely delusional parents. Kudos. OP says, LOL, thanks, but all this is actually coming really out of the blue for them. My dad has always been really level-headed, and my mom was the one who taught me family should always be put first, which is why their demands are so weird. Especially since at dinner, I told them exactly what Lana would be doing, and they seemed fine with it. To another commenter, sometimes I wonder if my parents still think we're teenagers arguing over who gets to drive the family car. As I said in a previous comment, their behavior is really out of the blue since they've always been really sweet and supportive when it came to my business. I want to believe they might just be misunderstanding something, or maybe they're just stressed trying to help Lana as best they can and taking that stress out in the wrong places. I'm just hoping this gets resolved before I interview Lana next week. Top commenter says, not the a-hole. Ask your dad if he would give away half his business to a wasted sibling who has no experience, because that's what your mother is demanding. OP says, yeah, especially since Lana is currently living with them while she recovers. They know exactly how she's doing and that she isn't fit to run a business. I have no doubt she'll be a great employee since she's always been the type to put her best foot forward in all she does. But with where she is at the moment, I think the stress would make her relapse. Commenter says, I suspect they know she's going to crash and burn at this job, and their only mental way out of the doomsday scenario is to believe that this is a permanent gig that she can't be fired from. That doesn't excuse what they've done, however. I feel like the commenters are really hammering in on the, like, Lana's gonna drink on the job and she's gonna be terrible. And that's
Yeah.
like really not at all the problem here.
Yeah, the problem is literally the parents.
Yeah.
And I feel like OP has made a great point about how, like, yeah, co-owning is actually a big job. That's
It's a
not
big job.
That's not just like, oh, cool, I get a lot of money. It's like, no,
No.
you have a lot of responsibility.
So much more responsibility.
Yeah, like the reason that, you know, it's not just like maybe some of these comments are saying of like, you know, Lana just can't keep these other jobs because
Yeah.
she's like unstable or whatever. It's like, well, I mean, if she's not in a super stable place and it's hard to keep jobs that way, it doesn't mean that she like can handle the responsibility
Exactly.
right now. And that's fine. Like maybe
Mhm.
someday she can, but yeah.
Yeah.
for
No,
now.
I think there needs to be sort of balance in the story. Like, one, the parents need to realize
Yeah.
that she's not ready for
Yeah. The parents need to be sympathetic.
yeah,
About
and then the commenters need to realize that she's not, like, she's in recovery
yeah.
and she's trying to do better, and she,
Right.
and OP has faith in her.
Right. Also, Wrestling Mama said earlier something about like, oh shoot, I moved furniture into Raising Cane's. I own a restaurant.
Yeah. Have you been checking up on that?
Yeah. Have you been getting your checks in the
Yeah, have
mail?
they been sending you checks? Because you probably have a lot of,
That's
money.
a big business.
I think I'm going to have a family talk with them after the weekend is over, and hopefully I'll find out where this is all coming from and how to deal with it. OP clarifies, thank you, but like I said in other comments, I believe my parents' behavior is primarily out of stress about Lana than genuine hostility or poor parenting. I should have been clear in my post that Lana does not have a felony for DUI. She has 2 misdemeanors. However, due to time frame, lack of harm to herself and others, and the actual BAC level, she's not a felon in our state. And I wouldn't say I'm successful, but I'm definitely comfortable. But I still have to watch my budget. Other employees, Lana's access to the register. I actually don't have any other employees, which is where I think my parents might be assuming she'll be co-owner, since I run my store almost entirely myself. I say almost because on rare occasions my friends might come in to help move stuff around or do deliveries. As for the register, I have my PayPal hooked up to the card reader, and even if she was paid with cash, I would still know how much is made in a day, and if numbers didn't add up in the very unlikely event, Lana would try to steal from me. As for becoming an enabler, I've been doing my own research on how to help recovering family without enabling them. And I have made it clear to Lana repeatedly, especially with the interview thing, that she will be treated like a normal worker when we're on the clock. One more thought from OP. OP says, thank you, and I'm really proud of her too. Last week, actually, it marked her first 3 months without a relapse.
Wow,
That's
good
awesome.
job.
That's really exciting. And there is an update.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we jump in?
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I hope that this update brings conversation with the parents
Yes.
and apologies and maybe a understanding between OP and Lana without the
Yeah.
parents' involvement.
And maybe even Lana could go to the parents and say, hey, I don't want to be a co-owner.
Yeah, right?
I'm dealing with a lot of stuff right now, and I that is a lot of responsibility for me.
exactly.
Update. So before I get into the update, I would like to clear some questions that were raised in the comments. I tried my best to answer them all, but I got a lot. First, Lana is not a felon. In our state, her DUIs, that was already read. Second, my parents' behavior was very out of the blue. They're usually very supportive and rational, but I think that the stress of Lana is making them act irrationally. As one commenter put it, they see her working for me as a magic bullet to fix everything. And when I tried to set the boundary of her being an employee rather than a co-owner, they thought I was not going to give her a good job at all. Third, my business is very small. I run it all by myself. And like I said in my first post, most of my money comes from alterations rather than my own designs. Fourth, what I said about Lana not getting the job was heat of the moment frustration when talking to my dad. He was yelling at me over the phone and being incredibly pushy, and it felt like I was talking to a brick wall. I still have full intentions to hire Lana, and the interview for this coming Friday is still on. I just said it to try and get my dad off my back, and I apologize to Lana about even saying it to begin with since it wasn't fair to her. Fifth, some people were implying Lana's drinking had to do with her parents, but it does not. Up until this point, we've never had any major rifts with our family, and we've always been incredibly tight-knit. The reason for her drinking was because of something outside of us. I won't say what, since it is not my place, but our parents have nothing to do with her regular use other than giving both of us the regular use gene. Anyways, here's the update. Lana called me after dinner late last night, and we talked. She spoke with her parents and told me that my suspicions of a lot of this being a stress-filled misunderstanding were correct, and she invited me over this morning for breakfast with them all. I got back literal minutes ago as I'm writing this. It was pretty awkward at first. Our parents were still on this high horse about Lana getting a good position. However, we were able to talk it out. Lana explained how she doesn't feel ready for such a position while she's still recovering, and how it would make her feel like she's leeching off of me. She also pointed out that their pushiness was impacting her and my relationship, and stressing her out more since she felt like she had to pick a side. She appreciated their concern. However, as she pointed out, that concern was coming at a detriment to all of us. I told them how I felt like they didn't respect my business and how hurtful their words and actions were, especially my dad yelling at me, as raised voices have always been something I'm sensitive about. I explained my perspective of how I didn't want to stress out Lana with a position she really isn't ready for, nor does she have the experience for, and it felt like I was getting punished for trying to help her out. I brought up what another commenter said about how it was like expecting me to put her on the lease of my apartment she doesn't even live in.
Exactly.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
This is great. This is exactly what we said to do.
We've got
Yeah.
communication going.
Yeah.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. Look at you guys go. And I'm glad that Lana's involved in this conversation too.
Me too.
My parents really took some time to think over what Lana and I were saying while they made breakfast. When we sat down to eat, they apologized to us and explained that they were terrified of Lana having another relapse. Apparently, before we were born, my mom's cousins suffered from regular use and mental health, which eventually led to her downfall, and they were terrified that the same might happen to Lana. This was why they were pushing for a more permanent position. It was a hard talk, but those were the important bits. It ended with some tears from my mom and so many apologies. We've all agreed it would be good to look into family therapy. Lana is already seeing a regular use psychologist and plans to consult them about good family support groups and therapists at her next session. My parents keep occasionally texting me asking if I need help with anything and if I'm okay, which is their way of apologizing even more. By the way, you should apologize for not listening to full episodes of stories just like this, because you can find them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio if you just search up OK Storytime. It's so easy.
So easy, guys.
easy.
You should be so sorry for not doing it already.
But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I think this is great.
Yeah.
Great job.
10 out of 10. You really killed it.
Yeah, we've got family. It
You
makes sense.
unalived it.
Like, I feel like that's happened to me before in my family
Yeah.
where I'm just like, I don't understand you, parents. And
Yeah.
then they're like, actually, this really sad thing happened, and I'm terrified. And I'm like,
Yeah. Oh.
okay, I get it now.
Mhm.
You know, and so it's like that's like, that makes a lot of sense, and it's good communication.
Agreed.
Good job.
10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
This interview between Lana and I is still on, and I've already set some boundaries with her about what it means working under me to ensure she has structure without enabling her. When we get the therapist, I'll also be speaking with them for more tips. I'm a bit surprised things resolved this fast, but not really. My family and lingering tension is like oil and water. None of us can ever go to bed upset. I think things are going to be weird for a while, but in the end, I think it'll be all right. I'm excited to work with Lana, and I'm nervous, but eager to start family therapy since I think it will be good for all of us. Thank you all for your kind comments and support. Other than responding to comments, this will probably be the last post I make since I just made this account to get advice. Thank you. And one commenter asks or says, "This is a great update. Thanks for posting it. Best wishes to Lana if you can pass this on from a stranger on the internet, and great respect to you." OP says, "I will, but I think my family would freak out if they knew I posted about our squabbles on the internet. LOL. I'll tell her you're just a friend." And that's the end of that story, folks.